Hello and welcome to Constellations interviews for our upcoming North American Systemic Constellations Conference, October 5th to 8th. We are so excited and the tension is building. For more information, do go to our website, nasconstellations.org. And today with me, I have two lovely ladies, Tanya Shapiro and Wendy Arness. Welcome, ladies. And their topic is After the Training, Staying Connected with Local Peer Facilitator Circle and Co-Facilitation. And I'm sure there's an interesting story. So let's start off with how you ladies met.
Well, we met at the last conference.
Yay!
It was my first time at the conference, and Wendy had been there. To several before,
and we lived in the same city and didn't know it, and had a lot of connections that we didn't know, and it was just a great time to connect. And we, from that moment on, is when we started working together. And so it was a great opportunity to meet people, and I got to meet Tanya as well as many others at the conference, and it inspired us to try and give back to the conference, and what could we do to help and keep people coming and making connections and growing in constellations. And so that was 2 years ago. And since then we've been doing these co-facilitation workshops and peer groups. And it's been really great for both of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's been an increasing momentum, though it's fun to think back on how we met, where it was Wendy saying, I've been thinking about doing more peer circles in my living room. What do you think? Oh, I'm in. and then it was, really we've been doing them about twice a month. We've been scheduling monthly workshops to co-facilitate, and we've just been going step by step. Is this something that wants to happen? Do we have people coming? And there's just been a movement. It's been a real privilege and an honor, and kind of an answered prayer too, because I was at the last conference wondering, how do you become a facilitator? And I found others that were saying, here's what I do, or I want to do that too. So I feel like we're continuing the conversation and adding our part.
Yeah, and I've been a facilitator for 7 years, but still not wanting to do all of it myself. Like, how do we work together to help with some of the logistics of it? How do we support each other with a circle if there might be people or situations that come up that might be uncomfortable, and how do we make sure that we have a strong field of support and growth? And so having Tanya with me has been so great, and we each do our own facilitation, but that the person is there, and that if something comes up, that there is somebody else holding the field for you, and somebody that you can debrief and keep learning from, instead of trying to do it all on your own.
Cool. Well, let's start with a little bit of a definition here, ladies. So what do you mean by facilitator circle?
So a facilitator circle is what we call that a peer group. And there are other facilitators, and we're all facilitators that meet together, and we would actually take turns facilitating. So who feels called to facilitate, who wants to work on an issue, encouraging other people to step up. So maybe they finished a training, but they haven't actually done that much facilitating, or they've been facilitating, but they want to try out this other thing that they've been thinking about, and they don't want to do it in a paid workshop or when they're just starting out. And so it's a place to experiment and to grow and to learn from each other and to get feedback. And it's been really positive. There's been so many things that have come out of that. To watch other people work and to see their strengths or way people do things so differently. And none of it is like, we might say, oh, I don't do it this way. But you can learn so much from somebody who does it differently than you, or who's had a different teacher than you. And it can expand that knowledge in like exponential ways.
Very nice, very nice. And so how many people gather?
What's that?
How many people gather when you do that, approximately?
I'd say there are 10 of us.
Excellent.
Sometimes, 7 to 10, 11 sometimes.
Uh-huh. So
we have at the same time every month. We have one that's every month and one that's kind of varies if it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
Okay.
So that regularity, people know when to show up. That really helps.
And recently there's been a place where I can't have it at my house and somebody else has stepped up. So they're like stepping up to offering places, and we always bring snacks and make it something that's fun and a chance to kind of check in, and also a chance for us to work on our own issues, because we won't do that in a circle where there's all these, maybe we're also therapists, so there might be clients there or things that might be not the best place to work on some of those things. So this feels like a safe place.
That is very cool. Okay. So now tell us about co-facilitation.
Well, I think Wendy touched on it a little bit, that we offer public workshops and we work together as a team. We start out introducing what constellations are. I take a part, she takes a part to kind of open the space and set a container. And then we decide who's going to facilitate first. If we don't, as we go, and like she said, one of us has the client and works directly with the client, and the other facilitator sits apart. So we each have a moment to have our personal facilitator experience, you might say, rather than two facilitators interviewing the client and setting the constellation.
Right.
That's our approach.
Yeah.
And then we know that that person is there. If there was for me, I feel a little bit newer. I've been doing this for about 6 or 7 years. Sometimes when I set a constellation, I might look at Wendy and she might, just having that. For me, there's also that benefit, I have to be honest, that kind of like, keep it up, you're on the right track kind of thing. Because
right.
There's this intention to serve the client in the best way. So
excellent. Okay, and then so tell us, when you're facilitating together, how do you think that impacts the audience? Because I've only done it by myself, although I did exercises with another person once, but we didn't really do constellations.
Yeah, we've heard feedback from people that they really love it. Like they love the sense that we work well together, and everybody has a different match if they're going to co-facilitate. But I think that sense of safety is increased for the client, because we've got people who the intention is for healing and growth, and it's like somebody's also checking me. It's not my ego that's getting into the facilitation. It's really how can we set this up that works best for the client, and setting that intention from the very beginning, and having both of us there, I think is also a check about safety overall, holding the space for people, and really offering up skills and insight, because sometimes you get stuck as a facilitator, and so having someone else there has been really supportive for me. And it feels like it's a good energy for the client also, and the group seems to like it. And I don't know, I've heard a number of people say that they really enjoy that.
Cool. So what are some of the things you're going to cover in your workshop?
Well, we're going to talk about what our experience has been working together as co-facilitators, the benefits, offering up like checking in who's showing up at the workshop first, and what would be helpful if people are really looking at what's the next step, and we can speak to what worked for us. And we're going to also go into an experiential group or breakout groups, so that people can encounter more experientially what's their obstacle, and check in with the field. What would be a resource? So we'll go into that, just exactly how we would do a peer circle. It will be a peer group experience, that even though that group will only meet once, I hope those connections can live on, the ones that want to, that can be supportive. What else would you add about
Well,
it?
I've been to a number of workshops, and when I was starting as a facilitator, and even now that I've been doing it I've been doing Constellations for 10 years and facilitating for 7. And this is something that I would have wanted in a workshop. And so when we were thinking about if we wanted to present, what would be helpful for people, it was this, like, how do we start actually getting out into the community and presenting and showing our gifts and helping others. And sometimes having a little bit of support for that ourselves is so important in order to be able to offer that out into the bigger realm, and to do it with joy and to actually have fun with it and not the anxiety of it. And so it's been really nice because it's made it fun. And so that's what we're hoping from this workshop, that people will get an idea of, like, what is your obstacle from going out and bringing this out to others, and what could be helpful for you to start that process. And maybe you have started it, but it's still a little bit rocky for you and you want to make it better. How could you do that? And it might be support from people around you, or it might be even like a peer group that you have online if you don't have a lot of facilitators in your area. But to really find that and to hold on to it, because there's not a lot of people who do this work, and I think it's really good to connect more than once every 2 years, which is what this conference is, or paying a lot of money to go to another workshop, and finding ways that can be valuable and reasonable for you as a facilitator.
Mm-hmm. And whereabouts are you guys working? You're in Seattle, right?
We're in Seattle.
Correct. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people to actually join your group, I'm sure.
Yeah, we have been very lucky because we live in a place where there are a lot of people doing the work, but I also know that there are places, because I was in a training and there are people scattered all over the nation, right, and in Canada too. And so they made peer groups through the internet to work on that. And so that was really great too. Like, I've seen it work in different ways. And so knowing that we have this really, we're privileged to have this, and that other people might not have it, but where can you find that support in ways that are helpful?
Yes, excellent. Well, that's very interesting, ladies. I'm looking forward to this. You're going to be quite busy, I think, in your workshop.
Yeah.
And it's a great idea, like you said, to divide up the room about what they need to move forward. Yeah,
to really make it something that's helpful for each person that's there, and be able to do their own constellation in that.
Super. So this goes nicely into our theme for the conference, Bridging the Divide.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was once with Dan Booth Cohen, who mentioned that across the U.S., it was a Saturday, he says probably only 100 people are getting a constellation done today. So we have to get out there and get working so that we can help people.
Well, just interesting statistics.
Yeah, just to bring it out so that it can be used, because it's such an amazing gift. We were talking earlier, both of us are therapists, and we have done talk therapy for years, and Constellations gets to the root of the issue so quickly. My friends call it intuitive problem solving, because they don't really know what constellations mean. And so how do we get to a place where we, get to an issue very quickly and see some movement? And so bridging that gap of, oops.
We lost you.
We lost you.
Oh, I can still see you.
Okay, we can't see you anymore, but that's okay. So bridging the gap of to be able to get this out into the community and to be helpful in the community.
Excellent. Well, I think your workshop's going to be very well attended. So thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it. And I look forward to meeting you again at the conference. So for our audience, do look up Wendy and Tanya's workshop after the trainings.
I'm going to pronounce that as Tanya, just so we know. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I'm used to it. It's okay.
It seems to me lately I've screwed up everybody's name.
That's okay.
Tanya and Wendy's workshop, after the training, staying connected with local peer facilitator circle and co-facilitation. Thanks very much, ladies. Have a great day.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay,
See
bye-bye.
you soon. Yeah.